everyone, a warm welcome. You're watching Mirror Now with me, Grihatul Siddiqui. On to the top story that we're tracking at this hour, which is from the state of Kerala, and the row now continues over Kerala government's policy to provide lifelong pension to people appointed as the personal staff of the state ministers who are entitled to a pension after just 2 years of service. Activists have questioned the policy, calling it a misuse of public funds and financial burden on the state. Now remember, the Supreme Court had in fact criticized Kerala government's policy yesterday, pointing out that Kerala is the only state where the minister's staff are entitled to a lifelong pension after just 2 years of service. So this is an important story that we are bringing to you from the state of Kerala. This is after ample condemnation has happened when it comes to the pension policy in the state. The activists have condemned this. The Supreme Court, in fact, was the one to observe that Kerala is the only state where the personal staff of the ministers are eligible for a pension after just 2 years. Remember, pension is a social security. Many of us require 10 years in service to actually be eligible for a lifelong pension, while the staff of the ministers in Kerala, the personal staff who are basically the karyakartas, really end up being eligible for this particular lifelong pension in just 2 years. This is something which is something that we are discussing right here on the broadcast. This row really is continuing. This is the Kerala government policy that in fact ends up providing this lifelong pension to people appointed as the personal staff of the state ministers, and they are eligible for this particular pension in just 2 years of service. Now remember, all this money, where is it coming from? It is coming from the taxpayers, and this necessarily means that this is the misuse of public funds. It also means an added burden financially for the state, and the Supreme Court in fact was the one to criticize the state government regarding this particular pension policy. Vivek Karandalam, my colleague, now joins me live on the broadcast. Vivek, this is an important issue that we are tracking right here on Mirror Now. This is something that has been brought to fore by activists. They have condemned the policy, but more importantly, it was the Supreme Court that made these very, very important observations.
Absolutely. It is the Supreme Court, the apex court, which has actually taken up this issue yesterday when the KSRTC, the Kerala State Road Transport Corporation, actually approached the Supreme Court, on the issue regarding the prices, especially the oil marketing companies. They say they have demanded that, the centre should change the law where the oil marketing companies should not be given the right to decide the prices. It's at this juncture that the judge asked us, if your state authorities have enough money to pay for pension, for personal staffs, or personal secretaries of ministers every 2 years, why don't you just go and ask them for this money? Now, this, rightly raises a lot of questions, especially this money is being taken from the exchequer. Remember, on every year, rupees 8 crore is spent for giving pensions to ex-personal secretaries and personal staffs or ministers who have been in service for just 2.5 years. Now, after that, this issue has been really taken up by the governor of Kerala, Arif Mohammed Khan, last month, especially after the face-off between the state government, before the budget session. So it is after that this issue was being talked, in the public realm, especially in social media. It has been a major discussion. But, we tried to reach to various leaders today, especially I tried to reach out to the opposition leader, but he said that, he's not ready to talk on this issue. But this issue has been taken up by the governor of Kerala, Arif Mohammed Khan. After that, the BJP has taken up. Then yesterday it was the Supreme Court which has taken up this issue in a big manner, and the court had questioned the hypocrisy of the state government. Now, the biggest the question is that why is it that the state government, providing money, especially pension, that to the private secretaries of ministers, from the money that's been taken from the exchequer. Remember, every year rupees 8 crore is being spent on this, and at least 5 times of this money is being spent as salaries for these personal secretaries and personal staff every year, with the allowances that's been given. So it's a huge amount that's been spent on these private secretaries and personal
Yes.
secretaries on a yearly basis. Remember, currently there are 1,250 private secretaries, ex-private secretaries who are still earning the pension. So all these things basically point to a very, very pertinent or very important question as why is the exchequer being made to pay for personal secretaries? Now, the biggest allegation that's been made by the governor, Arif Mohammed Khan, at that point of time is that these personal secretaries or private secretaries are basically functionaries of the particular political party in power. Now, if the LDF is ruling, it's the CPM, party workers who have been elected to these posts, and if the Congress is ruling, it's their functionaries. So basically, without much eligibility criteria, these people are being selected as private secretaries. And remember, for a minister, at least 15 to 16 personal secretaries or private secretaries have been appointed. And after 2 years, 2.5 years, they resign and the new set of private secretaries have been appointed. Now, this is the allegation that's been raised by the governor, and this has been reiterated by the Supreme Court judge on a different case. So hence, it's very, very important. And now it's up to the government and the public administration department to rethink on this of whether they need to appoint private secretaries or private assistants to ministers and pay them salary and pension at the cost of the exchequer. Back to you.
Absolutely. Vivek, thank you so much for joining me. And a very important point that my colleague Vivek has made over there. And I'm now joined on the broadcast by Mr. C.R. Nilakanthan, a social activist. Mr. Nilakanthan, thank you so much for being with me. Like I said, very important point that my colleague Vivek there made, an extra burden to the exchequer. This way, the Kerala coffers will be bled dry if this goes on like this.
Yeah, this is actually an extravaganza, and it's a it's an injustice to the thousands or the lakhs of unemployed, educated youth in Kerala. They are waiting for some appointment. They are waiting through PSCA. They are not getting it, and the cash-ridden coffers of Kerala, which is not having any money to give other social security things like even the pension for the endosulfan affected victims. They are very poor. They don't have money for that. They don't have money for development, but they have money for this sort of extravagance. This is actually a social security net for the political volunteers in state. Those who are ruling, they will call their party volunteers to be the personal staff members, and after 2.5 years, they will be paid volunteers for the party. They will be paid volunteers. The state exchequer will pay. Here, the most important thing is even the government staff is not eligible for pension, those who are appointed now after the change in the pension rules. The new government staff who are appointed based on qualification, experience, or maybe written test or interview. After all these blocks, they are becoming officials of Kerala state, but they are not going to get pension from now on. But these people, without any qualification, without any selection procedure, only procedure is party appointments. Party leaders will give their letters, and they are not working. They are not doing any work for the state. Mostly they are doing work for the party, or even in some cases, I have seen they are working in their houses, as a housekeeper or a cook in a political leader's house. This is a real injustice. And
right, Mr. Nilakanthan, a very important point that you're making over here. In fact, we are tracking all the developments right here when it comes to this particular loot, that we have to actually bring to fore. Because here we're talking about the personal staff of these ministers, only 2.5 years into service, and they are eligible for a lifelong pension. And all this really goes out of the taxpayers' money. That is the kind of important update that we need to actually bring to fore for our viewers over here. How does this policy stance defined? How was it really allowed when it comes to the government of Kerala?
No. What happened is, for last more than 10 years, I was tracking the subject. I was trying to get using RTI how much money they are giving as pension, but they are not disclosing it as far as possible. They will divert it. They will stop all activities like RTI. All political parties, irrespective of LDF or UDF, because when they come to the power, UDF also needs the same thing. They have Chief Whip, who is not having any job in an assembly. Chief Whip is, he is having 20 or 30 personal staff, which is paid, and they are paid salary, all perks, then pension. pension of very high order. See, last one of the last ministries, one daughter-in-law of a minister was appointed as a cook in her personal cabinet, and after some years, she was promoted as an assistant, upper division officer. Then after she was resigned, then she is getting pension of a upper division clerk or a section officer for lifelong. Is a niece or a daughter-in-law of a minister, a women minister in Kerala cabinet. So it is that way it works. So you can have social security for your party people, and every year maybe 1,000 people in every 2.5 years they are renewed. So every ministry, at least 2,000 people are getting this pension of the very high order. There is no merit, there is no qualification, there is no experience, there is no test, no interview. They are getting the appointment, they are getting the pension. That is the basic injustice and looting.
Right. So you are saying no qualification. What is the kind of salaries that these personal staff really end up getting? If we talk about, let's say, every month, Mr. Nilakadan, while they are in service, what is the kind of salary that we're looking at here?
Actually, 1,000, you can calculate it like this. 1,000 people are employed like this by personal staff. Maybe a 60-70% will be by party workers. So these people, if you calculate for a month, at least 40,000 average if you take, that itself is 600 people, 40,000, maybe 2 crore or something. It's come to 2.4 crores. I'm just taking average. I'm not getting RTA. I'm not getting the reply even after asking many times. It has gone to the court even. I've gone to the court to expose.
So this is 2 crores. That is the cost to the exchequer. I mean, if we look at the pension figures, almost 2 crores is what you're saying is going to cost the exchequer. That is the kind of money that we're talking about over here. And these people, like you said, aren't even eligible, just 2.5 years into service.
No, I was saying monthly salary. You asked me the salary for this, and half it will be pension.
Yes.
Half of it will be pension. So it will be 1 crore per month. So 12 crore. So what I'm saying is 12 crore.
So yes, how does it translate? How does it translate, sir, when it comes to pensions after 2.5 years of service? If you're saying this is almost 2 crore of salary of these karyakartas, then how does it translate as far as the pension figures are concerned?
Just half of the salary is considered as pension. See, I'm an engineer, a general manager retired from a public sector unit. I'm not getting EPF pension. I'm getting 2,000 rupees as pension after 35 years of work in a public sector unit. But somebody who goes as a party, joins a party, and he becomes, for example, I become a secretary to a minister or a personal staff, I'll get 20,000 pension. So it is as simple as that. I'm an engineer. They can take me in that grade, and with experience, they may give me 1 lakh rupees, and the pension will be 50,000 for half of the last earned pension. So there is no cut, nothing.
Right.
My point is they are not eligible for anything for that matter, unless no other state it is there. You know it. Everybody knows it. That is why Arif Mahmoodian had raised the issue. Now Supreme Court had raised it. But I don't think that, either the opposition or ruling friends in Kerala will do anything on it. They cannot withdraw the order because this is a looting they are continuing for many years. Now they are planning for appointing.
Absolutely. Mr. Nilakadan, thank you so much for joining me. This is one issue that we'll continue to track in over here because remember, this is all coming out of the taxpayers' money. And the kind of figures that Mr. Nilakadan was talking about really says it all as to how this is really bleeding the Kerala coffers dry.